What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for November 19th, 2022. Pretty decent night for the local teams. To start off, first and foremost, congrats to the Upper Dublin Cardinals for the 30-0 win over Plymouth Whitemarsh yesterday. They now move into the District 1 championship final next week against Bayard Rustin, which is one of the three schools from Westchester. Don't really have much knowledge of them as they were not a school when I went to school out that way. So anxious to see, but I know they're pretty tough. But Upper Dublin is now 13-0. They, with a win next week, they will go on to the PIAA Eastern final where they'll play either, I believe it's like Roman Catholic and Imhotep play today, and then I think Delaware Valley is the other school that will play next week. So fun times around here. Always big college or high school football fan. I love just when things kind of go like that. I'm kind of shocked that I haven't, and maybe because my kids are still young, I'm kind of shocked I haven't heard more talk about it. But again, my kids are in kindergarten and first grade, so it could be something that comes along the line. So we shall see. Big win for the Sixers. They beat the Bucks 110-102 last night. Giannis did not have a very good foul shooting game, and I think that may have been the difference. Also, I'm not sure if you saw what happened as you're waking up today, what happened after the game, but apparently he went to the locker room, came out, and wanted to shoot some foul shots to get some work in. Montreal Herald also wanted to get some work in and basically told him, get the F off the court. This isn't Milwaukee, it's Philly. And Giannis didn't move, so Montreal took the ball and just kind of held it from him. So obviously Giannis got pissed. They started into an argument. Giannis went and got a couple more balls to shoot his foul shots. And then in the meantime, when he stepped off the court to get the balls, they were putting up the Sixers crew came out and had a big ladder in front of the hoop because they were getting, I guess, the game cleaned up or the court cleaned up and set up and ready to go for tonight's game. So he went to push it. He claims he didn't mean to throw, but basically the ladder tipped over. Like, it was just a mess. Like, I was arguing, like, apparently then Harold was arguing with Giannis's brother. Like, just fun times. Apparently you have to stay after the game. There's video of both, so definitely go check that out. Just one of those things. It's just interesting that I don't know. That's like stuff you'd see at the Y when a rec league is getting ready to start or like an aerobics class is getting ready to start and guys are still running up and down the court. But, hey, NBA players, they're just like us. Big win for my Temple Owls, 72-66 over Rutgers. They jumped out to a big lead, and one thing that's starting to concern me about this team is they've done it in all the games so far. They've gotten the big lead and have allowed the team to come back. Rutgers came back fast and furious, and luckily the Owls were able to hold on. But either way, that's a good win. They moved to 2-2. Very easily could be 4-4. But they need to work on that lull and just allowing the team to get back into the game. But that's okay. All right, so this day in Philly sports history, November 19th, we're going to go back to 1986. We had some good luck with the way the teams played out yesterday by doing this, so we're going to go back to the Phillies again. And on this day in 1986, Mike Schmidt was named and won his third MVP award of his career. It would be his final one of his career. He hit .290 with 37 homers and 119 RBIs, made the All-Star game for the 10th time, won his final Gold Glove of his career. Now, interesting about that, and I remember this year very well because it's when I really started to get into baseball and understand standings and players and things like that. The Phillies went 86-75 that year. They were definitely a top 10 team in the league. Not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs, but they may have made the playoffs under the current format. Actually, they probably would, being a top 8 team in the whole Major League Baseball. But they finished 21 and a half games back. Think about that. You win 86 games, but you're 21 and a half games back. The Mets were just unbelievable that year with Gooden and Strawberry, Gary Carter, Mookie Wilson. It was as much as it was the Mets. growing up, they were actually a pretty fun team to watch. Like, I actually was a Darryl Strawberry fan. I'm not ashamed to admit that. But it's amazing that the Phillies had a great year by any stretch of the imagination and finished 21 and a half games back of the Mets. Anyway, back to Mike Schmidt. He would go on to play, I think it was 2.5 years. He played 87, 88, and that's when he started to get injured more. He started to play in 89, and that's when he retired when they were out in Pittsburgh. And so when he retired, or actually still to this day, he holds the Phillies record for games played, runs scored, obviously home runs, total bases, walks, strikeouts, which Ryan Howard is close, and love me some Ryan Howard, but the fact that Ryan Howard played not nearly as long as Mike Schmidt and has almost as many strikeouts as him kind of goes to show. I know one of the knocks against Mike Schmidt when I was growing up, and family members, my dad, uncles, and everybody, they always said he struck out too much, which I guess in the grand scheme of things back then he did, but it was nothing compared to what happens today. But anyway, he leads the Phillies in extra base hits, RBIs. When he did go and retire, he did hold the record for hits with Jimmy Rollins, ended up breaking a few years ago. But for all intents and purposes, Mike Schmidt was my hero growing up. He was my first favorite player. As I've mentioned a few times on here, baseball was kind of my go-to sport and my first true love, which is why I love that '08 team and the fact that they won the World Series first, why I got so into this World Series run by the Phillies. No matter what, I'll always have that first love of baseball, and that was Mike Schmidt. I remember having the baseball cards, taking it down to my first Phillies game, sitting at Veterans Stadium in center field. Ironically, not far from where we had our first Eagles tickets at the Vet, but there's old orange and yellow and brown seats, and just thinking that somehow I was going to get Mike Schmidt's autograph sitting all the way up in between the fan divisions. But I do think, growing up, I caught him at the tail end, but he was sort of like the larger-than-life guy. And again, baseball being what it was pretty cool. I got very excited when the Phillies signed Bryce Harper because for my kids, he's going to be their Mike Schmidt. Hopefully he's able to win them a World Series and things like that. But it's definitely just a cool thing. Always love Mike Schmidt. I'm looking at my autograph hanging on the wall there. Always reminds me of my grandmother, who was a huge Mike Schmidt fan. I don't know what it was about him that she liked, but it's definitely always brings back fond memories talking with her about that, listening to Harry Callis outside when we were growing up, playing wiffle ball. So good time. So on this day, November 9th, I keep doing that. It's going to be December, and I'm still going to be saying October. November 19th, 1986, Michael Jack Schmidt wins his third and final MVP award, and would go on to play another 2.5 years. Obviously, Hall of Famer, one of the best ever to play the game at third base. Just a phenomenal fielder, phenomenal hitter, and his knees just eventually gave out on him. Also, today in Philly sports history, we will go back to 1979, and one Ryan Howard was born today. So kind of cool that we're talking about Mike Schmidt winning his MVP award, and it happened on Ryan Howard's birthday. So Ryan Howard turns 44 today. A lot of those power hitting records that Mike Schmidt set were either broken or talked about being broken by Ryan Howard. A lot of great respect between the two. And it just always go back with Ryan Howard. I question what could have been if he wasn't blocked for a couple years with Jim Thome there, who, don't get me wrong, Jim Thome is a Hall of Fame player in his own right. So, excuse me, I swear I coughed every day on this podcast. Sorry about that. But happy birthday, Ryan Howard. Congrats to Mike Schmidt on his third and final MVP award on this day in 1986. We got the Sixers playing tonight as well as the Flyers. Go have a Saturday. Stay warm. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.